Well, I got this inner fender in with no issue. Basically, I just, oh, come on. Just slipped it over the tire and then lifted it up and bolted it in. Pretty much every bolt lined up except for that one right there. I don't know, it's off by quite a bit. Enough that it's kind of difficult to pry it up or anything, so might just have to drill it out a little bit or something. We'll see. So anyways, got this one in just fine, no problems. Then come over to this side. Well, so here's the full story. The inner fenders I did have, that side was reasonable. You probably saw it on the ground as I walked by over there. There was really not too much rust on it. There's a little bit that I patched up pretty terribly, but it was okay. But I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll just order this side. This side was really rusted out because of the typical, you got your coolant reservoir, it overflows, and then that little piece rusts out, plus the inner fender rusts out. So this was the one I needed. These are both Jegs, brand new, remanufactured, but this side was back ordered for like 3 weeks or something like that. So I just went ahead and ordered it because I didn't have, usually with these things you have to pay freight, but the Jegs ones you do not have to pay freight. So I went ahead and ordered it, waited the 3 weeks or whatever. Well then they waited the full 3 weeks until the back order came in stock. But then they still sent me that one. That one was in stock the entire time. And I didn't need it, but they sent it to me. So I was like, well, whatever, I'll just order this one. So I ended up with 2 brand new ones, which isn't the end of the world. But like I said, that one went in with 0 issue. This one, granted I was in a little bit of a hurry, but as I was lifting this up, try and set this camera up. As I was lifting this up, it like slipped or something, and it fell a little bit and just absolutely sliced the bejeebus out of my 2 fingers here. This one was not terribly bad. This one was pretty deep, but it sliced instead of straight. If it was straight, it probably would have gone to the bone. But since I was holding it like this, it kind of sliced at an angle. So it was bleeding pretty profusely, but seems to be doing fine. Got bleeding stopped and everything, so that's healing. But I never got this back because I had to leave for a little trip at the time this happened. So I'm back now, but this is just a healthy reminder to wear your cut level gloves, or really any sort of glove, especially if you're dealing with sheet metal. These edges really aren't that sharp, but if you get some sort of sliding motion, it can be real sharp real fast. So just make sure you are aware of that as you're working with sheet metal and stuff. But we'll see. I don't know if I can get this in real quick. I'm waiting for some food to heat up in the oven. I really shouldn't be, working too hard with these fingers still healing, but we'll just be careful. I got it most of the way in. It's just kind of hard to get this. Oh man. Boy, if I could get that over that little screw there. I don't know if this is gonna work. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Well, I'm done with this one. Oh, I ended up just unbolting the fender. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do there, but okay, this is gonna be interesting. Not fitting well, but I got most of the bolts in here. We got that one. Now those couple, basically everything. Ooh, that one's barely in. Everything but that one. And then this one here, you can see that I tore the sheet metal for this inner fender, just trying to pry that up enough to get the bolt in. I don't know if the hole is just that off or what, but we're pretty fresh, so hopefully things don't get too heated. I'm almost done with this too. That inner fender is, boy, that almost seems like that's leaking there. Huh. I might have to look at that later. Oh, you can see, oh, so I never actually mentioned this. I don't know if I have any pictures of it either. That light doesn't work great, but anyways, this is the engine crossmember here. It is a classic problem on these trucks that the engine crossmember cracks right there. And mine had a pretty nasty crack started in it. So what I ended up doing is I just ground you can actually see the start of the crack right there. And it went all the way up till there. You can see where I welded. But I basically just drilled out the end of it. They always say drill out the end of a crack. So I did that, and then I welded the whole, or ground down the crack. Then I welded the whole length of the crack, and then I ground the weld down, which is not the best weld. I've got my sheet metal welding pretty well fine-tuned by now, but my more heavier gauge metal not quite fine-tuned yet. So I was kind of experimenting with different settings on my welder. So that one in the back is really not bad. It's pretty decent. These ones in front, not amazing. I think my wire feed was a little low, so it wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't getting great welds. But anyways, I took just a piece of a lawnmower blade that had a hole in it, cut it off, put it on there, and welded all the outside of it, plus I welded in the inside there. So hopefully that's enough to strengthen up this engine crossmember. I was thinking, so in like, I don't know when, at least sometime after 80, they fixed this, but they just put a riveted reinforced piece across there. And you can buy the crossmember that has that fix, but you know, obviously to change this, you could potentially get it to work with the engine in, but boy, that would be not very fun. So my thought was, well, maybe if the crack holds up long enough, I could, whenever I get around to getting a different engine in this, if I ever do, this 350 is doing pretty good, but I would do it then. But the crack was pretty bad, and I figured what the heck, I welded up. Right now I'm going to try and get a bolt through there. You can see there's a pretty big gap there, but we might be able to get a bolt started. Oh, where am I? Oh, here we go. Okay. Really should be wearing safety glasses, because anytime you work underneath one of these trucks, it seems like anytime you bump it, you get a gallon of crap in your eyes. But this is actually pretty clean right now, so hopefully we're fine. That's the wrong way. Oh, we got it. You know, I'm going to call that a win. It's got a ways to go, and I could keep trying to suck it down, but that is good enough for me. I'll take it. Yeah. I think I'm going to just put the two washers back on. That was way easier than last time. By last time, I mean the first time when I originally fit this fender on. Now, you can just slide these in pretty easy. I have to pry on that a little bit though. That's a good way to scratch up your paint. There. Okay. Let me try grabbing a... Oh, is that enough? Oh, not quite tall enough. Son of a gun. Yeah, let's tighten these. Ouch. Okay. Good enough. Good enough. That one I must have tightened down already. Good enough. That one was the one that was loose. So we got these guys. Here I use my nice sized washers on the other side. There. Now there at least isn't a huge hole there. Can we do it without a flashlight? That hurt my finger. Oh. Oh, come on. Oh, look at that. My little shims are still there. Good boys. Can't see anything, but I promise you they're there. There. You can see my rubberized underpaint. I'm gonna have to clean this off already. It got kind of dirty from the one time I drove it. I already rebuilt the slip yoke on this. It sure seems like there's not much grabbing though. With the 1-ton springs, I probably need a little longer drive shaft, but I'm not going to be jumping off any ramps or anything, so this rear axle shouldn't go full droop ever. That would come all the way out, but never say never, I guess. Anyways, here's the Dynamax exhaust. I have Summit Racing headers, so I just went what was this, 2.5-inch collector, I think. clamp that on. Boy, that's kind of rusty, even though I cleaned all that off and painted it. That high temp paint just, I don't think any of it actually stuck. It looks like it just all burned off. I don't know. Whatever. Oh, here's the Borla exhaust. And then here's the, oh, I can't see that very good. But I put disc brake conversion on this from, boy, I can't remember the name of the website. If you search, you know, Chevy K20 disc conversion, it'll be one of the first results that pops up. But, here's the 1-ton springs. Hard to see. The stock springs on this, these are what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 plus 1, I think is what that is. The stock springs were like 6 plus 1, I want to say. But they were old, worn out, so they flexed a lot. Got some pictures of this truck doing some pretty good at flexing, to be honest, for full-size truck with stock springs, stock suspension. But all my off-roading flexing days are probably what jacked up that engine crossmember. Here's the real truth. Does the door work? Here's 2. Look at that. Just like I had it. It's a pretty wide gap at the bottom here, but I don't care. I'm just gonna, that's all the answer you're gonna get. I don't care. It's good enough. It's good enough. You can also see this door. It's really hard to fit doors by yourself. It's actually really good. Like this 6 inches or foot or so is not bad. And then it's not bad down here. This door, I hit a snow drift or something and bent that out. So that's never gonna fit great. Up here, I don't know, it's kind of a weird door. It fits okay. Kind of bows here, flush, and then it's got a huge gap. Like, that is ridiculous. Oh, I don't know if it's just from the new weather stripping being, you know, kind of tight still or what, but I got 75 FT3 Die-Hard Gold. So far, no problems. Don't really expect problems with a brand new battery, but one critique of these battery trays, the hold down is garbage. I actually, again, I've never actually seen a truck with the hold down still in it, probably because it's complete garbage. But this is actually what the battery hold down is, and it just sits right there. So today I was hauling some garbage out with the truck, since I have it pretty much back together, except for the hood. But I noticed something peculiar, but today when I was driving, when I would put a load, like turning on the lights or pressing the brake, it would bring my needle to E. So that's generally a symptom of a bad ground. I haven't had weird issues like that for a while. Let me just check. So obviously the lights work, you can see that. Those are 2 lights. Let's do high-low. There we go. No problem. My light bar works. Let's do cargo lamp. Yep. Also the floor light works. Let's check all my turn signals. That should be left. Everything seems fine there. Yep. Side marker and that one. Yep, all good. Let's try passenger. Okay, so I had this problem before and it magically resolved itself. When I turn on, weird, when I turn on driver's side blinker, all the lights start flashing. Dang it, I thought I fixed this. So you can see that one's flashing, that's flashing, kind of dimly though. That's flashing. That is not flashing. I wonder, did I hook that back up? Yeah, of course, now with this inner fender, I can't hardly see down there. And this is flashing. So something's up here. Okay, got the lights back on again. Like I said, I had that exact same problem before, and something I did years ago magically resolved it, which could have been swapping out those gauges. I have no clue why that would cause issues. So it's either those gauges. All of my grounds should be pretty good. I've gone through these and cleaned them up. I should actually check on this one underneath this electrical tape. But like my lighting grounds, I've gone through and cleaned those all up. I should use some silicone or something so that it doesn't rust. But so there's that. There's also the PCB. So the PCB is kind of jacked up. There's one spot that's pretty corroded. Or it could be, I suppose it's going to be hard to see. Down here there's this brake, or the parking brake assembly. That's actually where everything in the chassis, or all the gauges and stuff, that's where that grounds to. And this is a different parking brake assembly, and I painted the whole thing. So it could just be too that this is not grounding to the actual cab correctly. Alright, so this post says best method to find bad grounds, performing voltage drop test, voltmeter test, negative of multimeter to negative battery, and then probe various ground points. If you see more than 0.2 to 0.5 volts, you have a poor ground. It's trying to find a better ground through your meter. You can take also do it while the system is loaded and the problem is occurring. So this is probably going to be difficult for anybody to see, but if I do that, so negative to negative, and I go to, say, the main ground here, I'm getting 0.001 to 0.002 volts. If I go to, I haven't actually tried the frame. Ooh. So there I'm getting like 0.06, 0.05. If I go here, I'm getting 0.86. That's the block to the cab. If I just do like header here, 0 basically, which is good. If I go to radiator core support, 0.001 to 0.005. If I go to the fender here, 0.08 to 0.09, kind of jumps around. And that's while this blinker stuff is happening. But really, like I said, this is 0.2 to 0.5, half a volt. So I just took the electrical tape off of this. This is the main ground, and I loosened this up, so that wasn't the issue, but this wire is very loose in this connector here. You can see I can pull that around. So I don't remember if I replaced this connector here or what the deal is, but I'm gonna see if I can fix that. And right here a little bit. Just bend this lip a bit. Yeah. Like I said, that ain't my favorite in the world, but at least now it's tight. Oops. Okay. Yeah, that's solid in there now, at least. Oh, okay, that should be plenty tight. Yeah, I'm still getting blinking. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's something in the cab here. It's not my other grounds. Well, I'll continue piddling. Okay, you probably can't see. Maybe you can. Inside of there, right there, that's the ground distribution. It's normally for just some accessories, but I think everything normally grounds to that, which is kind of strange because I'm running everything off of that ground. That backup camera, my brake controller, the tachometer, this thing, AFM gauge. So you'd think if I had a bad ground, those would be acting funky, but these more modern electronics might have better fault tolerances. So anyways, I hooked a jumper up to that. I don't know if you can see the jumper, but I just hooked that up and then went all the way over to this door latch here. I don't know if this is grounded good or not. We'll see. We can try a different ground point if this doesn't work. Okay, key on. Oh. Well, that isn't flashing anymore. Ah, but that is. And this. I was working on with trying to figure out this issue. So I've got this schematic here that I taped together just from the service manual. So it makes it a lot easier to actually trace the wires on this. If you just have the pages, then you end up spending the majority of your time just trying to figure out where the wire lines up on the next page, or even what the next page is. There's no page numbers on these, so it's difficult to figure out which one goes where. But anyways, I went ahead and did this, so that helps quite a bit. I also have, on my computer, I have one that I colored just using Microsoft Paint. Unfortunately, I don't have a color printer, so I can't print that out. The color helps a ton. When you're just tracing these lines, like pink 30, go over pink 30. I guess that one's the easy one. But if we do like this, brown, white 130, you go and it's like, oh, what line am I on again? And you start second guessing yourself and you end up doing it about 3 times. So anyways, definitely recommend printing out one of these, taping it together. What I did today is I just to try and isolate this lighting circuit, I basically had the PDFs of this and I just screenshotted these different circuits, and then using Paint, Microsoft Paint, just erased out the parts that I didn't care about, and then just highlighted the different circuits. So I ended up with The illumination on the gauge cluster, which is pin 8 for illumination, fuse box, a bunch of these switches, dimmer switch, the rheostat or light switch. What else here? Nope, where is the... Oh, right here. This is the turn signal switch, the rear lighting, the front lighting, and just some of this other assorted stuff, just to try and isolate what was going on. The lighting is fairly straightforward, except for me, the most confusing part is these two lights. The front parking light / turn signal and the side marker. It's weird because what they do is they actually ground the circuit through the actual bulb, which is weird. You can barely see, there's a ground symbol right there. And the reason they do that is there's two functions on these lights. Obviously the turn signal, you hit the turn signal and those two lights should flash. The other function is that when you pull the light switch out, wherever that is, right here, you have brown 9A. So brown 9A connects to all the lights, basically. It goes back to these two, and then your illumination for the, or it doesn't directly connect to the illumination, but it's intertwined there. So when you pull that out all the way, then you get your nighttime running lights. So these two will be on, plus your rear lights, so that people can see you as you're driving. So how they handle that up front here, so in the brown 12 volt signal is active, it travels up, and I'll just focus on the one I'm having issues with. So you get brown, so you get the signal flowing up through brown, it flows through this side marker bulb, illuminating it, and then it comes back down through the dark blue wire, goes into this splice, traces up through this portion of the bulb, dual filament, down through the element, the filament, and then ground. So that's actually how it returns back to negative battery. And then you can go the other way. If the blue is active, follow the dark blue, go through the element, lights it up, go through brown, go back into here, goes into this bigger element, and then eventually grounds. And the reason that works is that this bulb, there's not enough current flowing through it that it doesn't actually light. So it doesn't illuminate, but it provides a path to ground. So what I was originally thinking was happening is that when I had this issue happening, I measured the voltage on both of these lines in relation to battery negative, and I was getting positive voltage on both of these. So what that was telling me is that perhaps something in the switch is providing positive 12 volts into the brown signal, and I'm also getting positive to the blue. The blue is what I expect with the turn signal. That is the normal flow for it. Brown is not. What I also noticed when I have the left turn signal active is that all of my lights flash, including the license plate light, and including the illumination of the gauge cluster. So all of that just happens to be connected to that brown circuit, the brown 9E, or 9A I think is what it is. So something is going on there. So I originally was thinking that, oh, perhaps this bulb or the socket is not providing an adequate ground path back. So I tried two things. I tried completely pulling these bulbs so that there was nothing connected to brown. That did not fix the issue. Then I tried verifying or just measuring the voltage or the ohms to ground through the socket, because it's a good ground is what I'm trying to say. I don't see anything wrong with the sockets, the bulbs, those all appear fine. So I eventually got to the point where I was testing continuity between blue and brown, and I was getting continuity there. There should not be, as far as I'm aware, at least when the turn signal is not active. And then also I was getting the dark blue, I think, appeared to be shorted to battery, or to ground. So I was thinking there's perhaps a short in the dark blue wire. So I traced all that out, just trying to isolate things. Didn't really seem like it seemed like the short was in the cab. So I came in here. There were some modifications to this harness. They bypassed the clutch mechanism for starter. Normally you have to have the clutch engaged all the way in order to be able to even start it. So they bypassed that, and they also bypassed neutral safety switch for the manual transmission as well. So they wrapped all up this harness here in electrical tape. So I figured, well, maybe they also spliced something in this harness while they were doing that. I'm not seeing any weird issues there. I also just ohmed the switch here. So purple is your, and I'll try and paste the schematic that I had that isolates all these circuits. But purple goes back to your directional flasher, which then the other end of that flasher, do I have, yeah, here's a flasher. It's just 2 posts here. So the idea is you have positive 12 volts going through one side of the flasher, and then the other side goes to your purple flasher signal. And so when you turn the signals, or the turn signal lever here, purple will connect to whichever side, the light blue or dark blue, and then yellow and green. So you can test continuity between those yourself, make sure that there's no shorts or anything there. This switch seems totally fine, which I'd be surprised if it was bad because I replaced it. This is a pretty new switch. It's seen almost no use, even though it's pretty old by now. I replaced it probably 6 years ago at least, but since I replaced it, it's barely been used. So it shouldn't be worn out. The contacts should be plenty clean, all of that. So the next thing that you can do is basically simulate that switch to isolate anything past the switch as the issue. You can also do the front and rear independently. So I'll just try and show that here. So I got my little jumper wire. Do one of these spade connectors on purple. Make sure it's not touching anything else. Then we do the other one to the one we want to test. Let's do light blue. Light blue works fine, or did work fine. Okay, that looks okay. So now we turn the key. You can see we got gauge flasher, we got light flashing down there, nothing in the rear, and then there should be nothing on, so there's those. There should be nothing here. Correct. That's how it's supposed to work. So now we will try the dark blue, which is the signal for passenger side. So we take out our plug and we go to dark blue, which is 1 over or 2 over from the purple flasher signal. So we go into there. Make sure we're not touching anything else. Looks good. And then we go ahead and turn her on. We got flasher. Come over here. Nothing. Yes, nice and bright. Nothing. So that works as expected. So that kind of tells me that the dark blue passenger side is fine. There shouldn't be any issues with that. And I haven't solved this problem yet, so I'm hoping that this is it, but it's yet to be determined. So we turn this off so we don't accidentally short anything. Now we will go to green, which is this one right here. Make sure there's nothing touching. Oops, I accidentally undid my purple flasher. Oops. So that is 1, 2. There we go. Not touching anything. Looks good. Okay, so let's do this one. So this should be the, what side again? So this is dark green. So if we go back to our schematic to the rear, dark green is this side. So again, it's the passenger side I'm having problems with. Yellow is driver. So let's go ahead and turn the key and see what happens. I've gotten this far, so this should hopefully result in what I'm thinking. Okay, so I'm not getting the gauge flashing. That's because I have the actual headlight switch disconnected. So that 9 brown is not going to the headlight switch, which then goes up to the gauge. So let's take a look at all of our lights here. Dim, not supposed to happen. Dimish, not supposed to happen. Supposed to happen, but I don't think this side should only turn on with the night running lights. License plate blinking, and then that side also blinking. So I believe I can isolate this to this light fixture somewhere in the wiring or in the socket, or potentially the bulb is burned out. I'm hoping it's the bulb. We're going to see. So I'm going to turn this back off. I tested the yellow, so the driver rear, and that was fine. So you can see my test procedure there. On my phone, I just took some screenshots of my diagram I made. I don't know if anybody can see that, but you can see it's a much simplified version of the schematic, and it just shows the lighting stuff, but it also shows all the switches and the gauge and all that sort of stuff. So it's got some of my notes on here for helping me debug. If I share this, which I think I will, I'll probably erase that stuff, but so far that's been pretty helpful in isolating things. So I'm going to now try to remove that side corner. Pretty sure, yeah, these should be the old ones. Okay, so let's try this again. There, we got that one in. This one should be. Okay, so those are in. We could. I think we're ready to test this. So let's do the working side. Working. No weird stuff. Oops, I didn't need to do that. So far, so good. Nothing. Nothing weird. Yes, as expected. And yes, as expected. Well, that ended up being a lot easier than I thought. So I guess this bulb is bad. Now, this is the... Well, I got her back together.